Day 30. The Little Way. 3 words summarize what we learned about the little way. Put differently, we just need to remember to do 3 things. Number 1, recognize. Number 2, trust. And number 3, try. Recognize. To live the little way, we need to recognize the darkness of our littleness and our brokenness. Remember, the little way is based on Saint Therese's deep rediscovery of the heart of the gospel, namely, God's mercy for sinners, God's love that goes out especially to the weak, broken, and sinful. Therese simply realized that by recognizing her littleness and helplessness more and more, she would thereby be more and more ready for the cascading love pouring forth from the pierced heart of Jesus. In her letter 197, she powerfully expresses this idea. The weaker one is, without desires or virtue, the more suited one is for the workings of this consuming and transforming love. But we must consent to remain always poor and without strength. And this is the difficulty. Let us remain then very far from all that sparkles. Let us love our littleness. Let us love to feel nothing. Then we shall be poor in spirit, and Jesus will come to look for us, and He will transform us in flames of love. Trust. Recognizing our weakness, brokenness, and sin can be a difficult thing. In the above quote, Therese even says, "This is the difficulty." And why is it difficult? It's difficult because the wound in each one of us, caused by original sin, makes us tend to doubt God's goodness and love. Indeed, we tend to think in a worldly, Jansenist way that says we must earn God's love by being perfect, strong, and without sin. So the difficulty is to reverse this tendency in ourselves and to trust. It's to ignore the thieves of hope and to believe in God's promise of mercy. It's to hope against hope that the Lord's merciful love goes out to us not because we're perfect, strong, and without sin, but because we're imperfect, weak, and sinful. In fact, it's to trust even beyond that. It's to trust the prophetic word of Saint Therese of Lisieux, Doctor of the Church, that God will satisfy our desires for holiness and raise us to the heights of sanctity. It's to trust that He will make us into great saints, even if we don't see it happening, even if we struggle with the same sins day after day, even if we have to wait for the grace of great holiness until the very end of our lives. It's to believe Therese's word in letter 197 that it is confidence and nothing but confidence that must lead us to love. And it's to trust the word of the greatest saint of modern times when she tells us in that same letter that her only treasure is to the blind hope that I have in God's mercy. It's to listen to her ask us, why can't that treasure be ours? And it's to realize that treasure can be mine if I cling to God's mercy with trust. Try. So to live the little way, we must recognize our weakness and trust in God's mercy. And we must also keep trying. Okay, but what does that mean? It means we have to keep striving to grow in holiness. For instance, it means going to Mass and confession regularly, taking time to pray and doing little things with great love. It means forgiving those who have hurt us. It means being sorry for our sins, making a firm resolution not to sin again, and never making a truce with sin. It means not settling for complacency or mediocrity, or the attitude that says, well, that's just who I am. In other words, it means striving to be faithful, to examine our consciences every day. Also, it means not giving in to discouragement or, God forbid, despair. It means that if we fall into discouragement or despair, we'll make an effort to get right back up, right back to trusting in God's mercy. It means trying to remember and keep before our eyes the infinite mercy of God, who never tires of forgiving. It means striving to never tire of asking God for forgiveness. Today's prayer. Spend the day pondering how to live the little way, as it is summarized in these 3 words: recognize, trust, and try.